It was always fun.
Boom! How's it going, comrades? This is Wes, aka the Performance here with another reaction. Guys, before we start, I got some sad news. So I did react to Echidnut's Pride, guys, but um my webcam just went kaput during the reaction. Now, with that being said, the reaction is still there. It's just that for for pretty much 90% of the video, I'm frozen in place. It captured the audio because of my headset, but the webcam didn't really. It just it showed one frame of me, and then I just for the rest of the video like this. So I mean, what I was thinking about doing, just going in, doing some editing, and then during that part, I can just put like a picture of like a background picture of whatever, I don't know. And you guys will still be able to see what I'm reacting to. I'm leaving it up to you guys because to be honest, there's only like one small part of the video where I'm active and you see me basically, where you see me. For the rest of it, my camera just effed it all up. So I'll leave it to you guys. If you guys still want me to post that reaction of Pride, I can. Again, you won't really see a good portion of my reaction because of my webcam. I'm definitely gonna have to give me a new one. I've had this one for a long time now. It's been a while. It's been actually it's been years now, going on years since I had this one. Because I'm starting to noticing it's starting to give me a wee bit problem. It has been paranoid now. Now I always go back just to check, just to make sure everything's good. But I guess let me know what you guys would want me to do in terms of that. Like, should I just like move on, or do you guys maybe want me to just upload it anyways, and I can just maybe try to edit over the parts where you don't really see me, and maybe just put like a picture or something there. I guess just let me know. I will tell you my quick thoughts about it though. Man, guys, it was awesome. Subaru is basically like Emperor. He was basically like Yagami kind of sort of like he was doing like the 5D moves, like the planning and he was so cold. He had such a cold shoulder, you know, and like his thing was the only thing he really wanted out of life was really he wanted Amelia to be happy, but he was willing to sacrifice everyone else's happiness for that. Like he basically it's just how Echidnut said in his video before that he basically became what Roswaal was like or what Roswaal wanted him to become. Which I was like, that's crazy. And then he started introducing he joined the witch cultists and started introducing himself as the Archbishop of Pride. And I'm like, what are you doing, Subaru? Those are the villains. Those are the bad guys. But like he saw them as a means to an end. To because he wanted to make himself Amelia's enemy, so that way she can strike him down and be the hero. And she did. And it's crazy. When she does it, the Witch of Envy doesn't he doesn't reset because apparently he had found his perfect destiny, and that was the Witch of Envy's her goal for Subaru, for him to find his perfect path, like what he wants, the one thing that he wants at the end of the road. She wants him to get to it, and she's letting him get to however he wants to get to it. She's letting him go however he wants to do it, but that's where she wants him to get to his perfect path or his perfect destiny. And when he got to it, he, basically for him it was having Amelia be a hero and being killed by her, and he died content. And I'm just like, what? And it was crazy how he was saying at the start of it, he died hundreds and hundreds of times before he decided to do something else. 'Cause I think when the alley thing, his pride didn't allow him to call out for Reinhardt, and so they say that he said that he got killed like hundreds of times, and I think he kind of lost it. Man, that one was a good one. So I'm super excited for this one, guys. So we're not gonna waste too much time. Let's go ahead and get into it. And again, guys, I'll mention this again at the end of the video and in the comment. Let me know about what you want me to do with the pride. If you want me to upload it or just say, man, it is what it is. All right. So here we go, guys. Johnny, life in another world from zero. Oh, this is different.
However, every year on Subaru's birthday, the author releases a spin-off story explaining what would have happened if Subaru chose the wrong path.
I like at the
Today, we
start
will
of every one of
cover
his videos, he
Oboreru,
says
the
that.
Wrath If story. The story
Oboreru.
itself contains like 1 or 2 spoilers, but I've decided to make them as vague as humanly possible.
Oh, okay. Season 2 spoilers ahead. Okay, I've seen season 2, so I'm good with that.
Because I wanted this video to be safe to watch for all the anime onlys out there. This means that I will be skipping and glossing over certain details that pertain to spoilers. So I'd like to remind everyone that the only way to get the full experience of this story would be to actually read it yourself. That being said, before we start this narration, let's quickly discuss where exactly Subaru faces the ideological
By the way,
conflict
guys,
that
don't
leads
forget
him to this
to
route. As I
subscribe
said
to
before,
Echidnut
these
if you have not
potential
already.
points of divergence are all indicated by a test. The ending of episode 7 is one of these times where Subaru is being tested. This was the episode where Rem dies from the shaman's curse and Rom tries to kill Subaru for being all suspicious. She chases him outside and prepares to kill him, but Beatrice interferes and offers to protect Subaru.
And he takes himself out.
This is the moment where Subaru had a choice to make.
Ooh, this is gonna be good.
Subaru could accept Beatrice's assistance and engage Rom in combat, or he could be patient, jump off the cliff, and simply restart from his last save point. Obviously, Subaru made the right choice. He strengthened his resolve and jumped off the cliff because he was patient enough to keep dying over and over until everyone he cared about was safe. In Oboreru, this doesn't happen. Subaru allows himself to be influenced by wrath instead of patience, and it changes the ReZero story entirely. This is Oboreru, the Wrath If story.
Okay. Give it to me.
Instead of jumping off the cliff, Subaru accepts Beatrice's offer to protect him from Rom. Subaru escapes into the forest, but eventually Rom catches up with him. The story begins with Subaru's body flailing around on the floor as Rom is choking him to death.
Damn!
Too weak to fight back, Subaru's just about ready to accept his death when suddenly Rom lets go of his neck. Coughing up blood, Subaru realizes that Rom has collapsed from exhaustion. You see, while she was chasing him through the forest, she got attacked by countless demon dogs along the way. The amount of wounds on her body would have normally killed her, but her hatred for Subaru was strong enough to keep her alive. Subaru notes that even with her body covered in cuts and gashes, Rom was still very beautiful, but that didn't matter right now. She was trying to kill him and she failed. Subaru had beaten her. Gazing down at her motionless body, Subaru picks up a large rock with both his hands and lifts it up into the air.
Stop gaming. In 2022, it doesn't make any sense to game.
The sound of the rock hitting her skull was so loud that it echoed throughout the forest. This marks the first of a long series of violent acts committed by Subaru as he journeys deeper into wrath. The next scene of this chapter takes place 2 years in the future, so before I get to that, let me go ahead and explain everything that's happened since then. Subaru continued spiraling out of control down the path of sin and eventually ended up founding a criminal organization called Pleiades. In just 2 years, Pleiades had already...
Also known as the Seven Sisters and Messier 45 are an open StarCraft. Oh, okay. That's just a... Okay, he named it the gang, whatever, after this. So wait, he founded this criminal organization, or did he mean that he actually found a criminal organization and joined, or did he actually made it up?
Already become infamous throughout the ReZero world, and Subaru's reputation as a villain had spread around as well. Working for Subaru's organization are a number of successful mercenaries, as well as 2 of the strongest characters in all of ReZero.
Oh, yo! My boy Hollyball, and I don't know who this guy is, though. This dude with the blue hair. But I know who this is, my boy Hollyball. He was in he was in Sloth. Right? Sloth? Yeah. Okay, man. I'm telling you right now, because we're seeing Hannibal too often in these what ifs. Honestly, I need him in the anime. I want Hannibal in the anime. If they don't give me Hannibal in the anime, I'm gonna be really upset. Cause man, Hannibal looks like he seems like he's such a gangster, yo. Like, I need Hannibal, man.
Zero. Subaru typically keeps those
Steph
two close at his side for
Cecilus.
protection cause on his own he's still pretty weak, but as their boss he's ordered them to murder countless victims, often without reason. They currently reside at the Pleiades headquarters, which is a large castle called Pandemonium. Most of Subaru's days are spent in Pandemonium's reception hall sitting atop a luxurious throne, but occasionally he would
Yeah.
leave Pandemonium if he had some business to take care of elsewhere. The next scene in Oboreru takes place at the Roswaal mansion. Because Roswaal no longer had Rom and Rem, he ended up hiring someone named Frederica. Frederica was briefly
Puerto
shown in
Rico.
season 1. Rom and Rem were extremely important to Roswaal. Rom in particular was very special to him. Without her, Roswaal himself was incomplete. He felt as if his own life had lost all purpose.
Right.
Many times Frederica tried to cheer him up, but nothing could penetrate Roswaal's force field of despair. Puck, on the other hand, was more angry than he was depressed. He believed that the mansion was no longer a safe environment for Amelia, and he was upset with Roswaal for allowing that to happen. Puck is currently arguing with Frederica in the hallway, and he starts to badmouth Roswaal.
Uh-oh.
This offends Frederica greatly because as a
Nani?
maid, she can't allow someone to insult the owner of the mansion. So in response, Frederica decides to get aggressive with Puck. Obviously, this doesn't end well for Frederica.
Yeah.
Before she can even make her first move, Puck turns her into an ice sculpture. Roswaal finds Frederica still alive, trying to resist the cold, and feels obligated to save her. He starts charging up a powerful spell when suddenly he just barely manages to dodge the sword slash that was aimed for his neck. The attack was carried out with incredible speed, so Roswaal's quick reaction to evade it was remarkable. The voice coming from behind Roswaal sounded surprised by the impressive dodge. The assassin was a blue-haired young man with two swords at his waist. One scabbard was blue and the other was red. Cecilus is a character that hasn't
Cecilus.
appeared in the main story other than his name being mentioned, but a lot of people suspect that he might show up in a future arc someday, so
Ooh, I hope
technically
so.
information about Cecilus would not be considered a spoiler as of right now, but in a couple years it could be, I guess. So I hope none of you are that sensitive to potential
Nah.
spoilers, but I wanted to put a warning out just in case. And just for reference, the very earliest this character could ever possibly show up in the main story would be around season 5. So, anyway,
Season
Cecilus
5?
is nicknamed Blue Lightning. He's the highest-ranking god general of the Wallachia Empire, which is the kingdom just south of Lagunica. I'm not gonna go too in-depth, but he's one of the strongest characters in ReZero, and he attacks with lightning speed, so that's why it was so impressive for Roswaal to dodge one of his attacks.
Oh
Anyway,
my
back to the
God.
story. Roswaal recognizes the young man and the two of them exchange dialogue, but as they're talking, Roswaal realizes his left arm had been cut off in the attack. Without hesitation, he cups the wound with his remaining hand, cauterizing it with a small burst of fire magic.
Damn.
Despite the intense pain, Roswaal's dialogue continues. He suspects that Cecilus must be leading the Wallachian army to invade Lagunica, but Cecilus corrects him, explaining that he's actually working for someone else now. Knowing he's about to
Subaru.
kill Roswaal anyway, Cecilus decides to tell him the truth. He's been working for someone known as the Purge King.
The
Roswaal
Purge
grows
King.
suspicious and
Oh,
asks for the
that's-
name of this Purge King. Cecilus hesitates at first, but eventually gives him the answer. At the same time the name left his lips, he cut through Roswaal like a flash of lightning. Roswaal smiled as he heard the name, and then everything went black. His last thought before dying was of the twins that used to be his maids. And with that, Roswaal died unhappy with his desires unfulfilled. Beatrice trembled in fear
Jeez.
as she heard a familiar voice. Standing in the doorway, Subaru calmly says hello. His face looked a
Yo,
lot
Beatrice.
scarier than she remembered, and his manner of speaking now had a blank tone to it. The two of them
'Cause he's a
talk for a
villain.
bit, and Subaru thanks her for protecting him that day at the edge of the cliff. At the time, Subaru was certain he would die, but because Beatrice didn't give up on him, he was able to survive. Subaru thanks her again, but also asks her the question, back then, why didn't you kill me? Beatrice didn't answer, but silently came to a
Right,
realization.
because she-
Subaru understood it too, as he says to her, "You and I, Beatrice, we are the same." Inside Beatrice and inside Subaru, there was a disease called despair quietly nesting. While the two of them were talking, a third person in the room suddenly appeared out of nowhere.
My boy
It was the
Halibo.
wondrous technique of a ninja, being able to hide in the shadows without anyone noticing. He was a shabby-looking wolf human with a pipe hanging out of his mouth. It was clear that he was extremely powerful and far, far stronger than the frightened Beatrice was. "Hannibal, bring me a sword," Subaru orders
Don't
the
kill
wolf human.
Beatrice, dude.
Subaru takes the blade and walks up to Beatrice with a smile on his face. He tells her, "With all those colors you wear, you are very pretty, you know." Beatrice stares at Subaru as she starts to cry. Trembling and shaking, she asks him a strange question that this version of Subaru will never know the meaning of. Perhaps
you
if
that
his life
person?
had turned out differently, he would have understood what she was asking him, but regardless, he still tried his best to give her a comforting answer. And then, as her last set of tears
What's the question? Dude, I bet you the question was like, are you that person? Right? Because that's what she asked him before, back in season 2. Like, are you that person? Because but I think this is what she wanted, though, right? She wanted Subaru to kill her. But I know, like in our Subaru in season 2, he convinced her that live, instead of me killing you, let me just be by your side. But oh man, holy shit!
hit the floor, Subaru kills Beatrice with his blade.
Why is he just going
So
around?
for anyone who didn't understand what just happened, the Roswaal mansion was no longer a safe environment for Amelia to stay in, so Puck and Subaru formed a plan to kill everyone in the mansion and then bring Amelia back to Subaru's castle.
Puck was in on it?
The two new characters, Cecilus and Hannibal, are Subaru's most trusted allies, so he ordered Cecilus to kill Roswaal and
Okay, I'm sorry to pause it again, guys. What I want to know though is like, how the hell did Subaru gets like two badasses like Cecil and Halibo underneath his wing? Like, why do they listen to him? Like, did he save their lives or something? Like, do they owe him their lives or something? Because I mean, they obviously can kill Subaru 10 times over. But then again, I guess he wishes reset. But they can still take him out. I don't think they know about his return by death, right? Unless they do. If they do know about his return by death, then I guess that would explain why they listen to him. But I don't think that they know. So why is it that oh, unless is he paying them? Unless he has some kind of, unless he has money and he's paying them, that could be it too.
told Hannibal to help him with Beatrice. Everything went according to plan, and they rescued Amelia, and on their way back, they actually took Frederica with them as well because they needed a maid. Pandemonium was a large building, so there was a lot of work for Frederica to do as the new maid. Not only did she have to cook and clean for everyone, but she also had to clean up the messes Subaru would make. For example, an
Jeez.
elderly merchant arrived at Pandemonium to discuss business with the organization, and he made sure to be very polite and delicate with his words, taking care not to offend Subaru. In the end, Subaru appeared to be satisfied with the meeting, but as the merchant was on his way out, Subaru flipped a coin. "Tails," he said, and that was the last thing the old man heard before he was decapitated by Hannibal.
That's fucked up.
Frederica was disgusted by Subaru's actions, and she vocalized her frustration as she disposed of the man's corpse, but Subaru wasn't happy with Frederica's disrespect. So later that night, when she brought him his dinner, he flipped another coin as she was leaving. "Heads," he said. "Don't worry, Frederica. Your family is safe for now." Frederica left the room with tears in her eyes, wondering why her life had ended up like this. Subaru's behavior eventually led to his nickname, the Purge King.
The
The Purge
King.
King truly was the physical embodiment of fear itself. Just being in the same room as him was enough to make someone physically
Yo,
sick.
this is so
Oftentimes,
good.
he would let a person's fate be decided by the result of a coin flip. Heads they live,
God.
tails they die. The slightest annoyance, even by one of his own men, would sometimes be a death sentence. Even his most trusted allies, Hannibal and Cecilus, would occasionally have their lives threatened.
Ooh.
In the deepest part of the building, there was a heavily guarded room that housed Amelia, whom everyone referred to as the Princess.
So
Amelia wasn't allowed to leave the room, and she had no visitors other than when Subaru needed a therapeutic lap
Bruh.
pillow, which was about once every 10 days. Stressed about his job, sobbing into Amelia's lap was the only thing that could calm Subaru down. But when Subaru wasn't paying her a visit, she was all alone with Puck for 24 hours a day, and she wasn't sure if she resented Subaru for that. Now remember, Roswaal was a pretty important person in Lagunica, so news of his death spread all over the place once it went public, and it became clear to everyone that the Purge King was the one responsible for it. The Kingdom of Lagunica decides to deploy a group of knights to Pandemonium and finally put an end to the Pleiades organization. In the middle of Pandemonium's reception hall, a blinding light swallowed the entire room and then shattered. 18 of Subaru's men were vaporized by the attack, and the structure of the building began to collapse. This was but a single blow from none other than the Sword Saint himself. Lagunica was desperate to subjugate the villainous Purge King, so they had no choice but to send Reinhardt Van Estrella to complete the task. As the dust clears, Reinhardt is surprised to find Subaru unharmed, sitting on his throne with Hannibal and Cecilus at his side. I saw your attack once before at the loot house, so I've had plenty of time to prepare for it, Subaru says with a smile.
Really?
Reinhardt hadn't realized until now that the Purge King was Natsuki Subaru, so this was a shock to him. Already bored of Reinhardt, Subaru decides to let Cecilus deal with him on his own. Hannibal grabs Subaru and the two of them escape into the shadows together. Left alone in the room with Cecilus, Reinhardt tries to reason with him. In the past, Reinhardt has beaten Cecilus once before, but Cecilus didn't care. Defeating Reinhardt was his only desire, and today he was ready to fight him to the death. He reaches down to his waist and draws both of his katanas, naming them as he does so: the Fiend Sword and the Dream Sword. Two of ReZero's 10 legendary swords.
2 of the 10 legendary swords? What? The Fiend Sword, the Dream Sword. Oh wait, the Fiend Sword Jaqen, the Dream Sword Yumiken, the Cursed Sword Juken, the Beloved Sword Aiken, the Spirit Sword Reiken, the Life Sword Inochiken, the Shadow Sword Kageken, the Blight Sword Ikeiken, the Dragon Sword Ryuken, and the Yang Sword Yuken. So I'm trying to say, do we see any of these swords in the previous seasons? Like in seasons 1 or 2? Or is this something, are we just seeing, this is the first time we're seeing them, right?
Swords of power. In response, Reinhardt does the same with his own weapon. Reed, the Dragon Sword.
The Dragon Sword.
Hearing the sound of that glowing white sword being drawn, there was no mistake that it was in fact the legendary Dragon Sword carried by the Sword Saint, only to be unsheathed when faced with a worthy opponent.
Oh, that's
Obviously,
right.
the sword considered Cecilus a worthy opponent. Cecilus gives his name, and the battle commences. Amelia could feel the tremors echoing inside her room. "This is the end, Leah. Reinhardt is here to kill Subaru," Puck tells her. The earthquakes from the epic battle had broken Amelia's door, allowing her to leave her room for the first time ever. She desperately runs through the castle searching for Subaru, but after a while she runs into Reinhardt instead. She's a bit shocked by his appearance. Reinhardt looked incredibly weakened, and his entire body was covered in dripping wounds. Equally as surprising, he was also holding the dragon sword in his hand. Reinhardt didn't have much time to talk, so he quickly urges Amelia to get outside as they had a dragon carriage waiting to bring her back to Lagunica. But Amelia didn't want to leave. She had already made up her mind, and she was staying here with Subaru no matter what.
Really?
Still, Reinhardt begs her to leave the building immediately when suddenly a sword of ice pierces clean through his abdomen, making him cough up blood and fall to his knees. Both Reinhardt and Amelia were shocked at what just occurred. Reinhardt was supposed to have divine protections that should have blocked the attack, but because Amelia did it unconsciously, Reinhardt's blessings couldn't detect it. Yes, Amelia unconsciously created an ice sword and stuck it through Reinhardt.
What?
Realizing this, Amelia started to understand. It was because Reinhardt's existence was a threat to Subaru, so stabbing Reinhardt was her unconscious mind attempting to protect Subaru. "Please, Reinhardt, leave Subaru alone," Amelia says, to which Reinhardt replies, "That is not possible." Realizing she has no choice but to fight the Sword Saint, Reinhardt informs Amelia that Subaru had been responsible for over 126,000 deaths.
Damn.
Amelia wasn't aware of any of this, but it didn't matter. She wasn't going to give up on Subaru no matter what. Reinhardt stands and gives his name. And then Amelia gives hers as well. The Witch of Glaciation, the Beast of the Apocalypse, and the Sword Saint began their battle, and the uppermost floor of Pandemonium was destroyed by a white shockwave. As Subaru runs through the collapsing mansion, he's attacked by Frederica, but Hannibal shoves her against the wall with such force that it breaks her arm. Subaru decides to spare her life, and he dismisses Hannibal as well. It was clear that the Pleiades organization was ending before his eyes, so Subaru encourages Hannibal to leave the castle and continue his life somewhere else. He hears Amelia's voice, which confuses him as she was supposed to be locked in her room on the opposite side of the building. At this point, it's unclear what happened with Puck and Reinhardt, but Amelia is still alive with minimal injuries. She runs up and hugs Subaru and begs him to run away with her. She explains that she did resent him at first for what he did to her, but it didn't matter anymore. Even after she learned of all the evil acts he committed as the Purge King, Amelia had forgiven him for all of it. And something about that made Subaru distrust her. How could anyone forgive him for all of the horrible things he's done?
I knew
It's impossible, he thought. Subaru shoves her across the hallway and calls her a liar. All his other thoughts disappeared, and everything in his head was suddenly replaced with fear. As Subaru watches in horror, Amelia's color slowly fades to gray. He starts to scream in agony as Amelia's silver hair and amethyst eyes turn to black and white. So this was a detail I chose not to include in the summary until now, but basically at some point early on in the story, Subaru lost the ability to see color. Everything was black and white except for a few people. Remember what he says to Beatrice before he kills her? With all those colors you wear, you are very pretty, you know.
Okay, yeah.
Beatrice was one of the only things left in the world that still had color for Subaru. Everything else that was black and white, he considered a lie. Even Hannibal and Cecilus were black and white. Reinhardt he expected to at least have a hint of color, but no, he was black and white as well. They were all fake to Subaru. The only people that still had their color were Beatrice and Amelia. Subaru killed Beatrice, and now Amelia had just lost her color. So now the entire world was black and white for Subaru.
So the entire world is a lie to him?
Well, almost
Or
the
fake?
entire world. There was one person that still had their color. One last opportunity for Subaru to see something other than black and white. One last thing Subaru could trust. So Subaru leaves Amelia behind and starts running through the building. He was running to the one person he could still trust, the only person he had left. It felt like he was drowning, and they were the only thing he could grab onto.
Who?
Subaru finally reaches his personal office. This room was just about as heavily guarded as Amelia's room, and that was because it contained something just as important. The office had a secret room attached. Behind the bookshelf, there was a door that could only be opened by Subaru.
If he has a head or something in there.
He slowly presses it open. Behind the door rings the sound of chains connected to the wall. Then he saw it. Her eyes were the color of blood. "Are you ready to die, Barusu?" The pink-haired woman, with hatred in her eyes, looked up at Subaru and smiled. The end.
The end?
The maids killing Subaru in the Roswaal mansion ended up traumatizing him, giving him extreme trust issues that basically ruined his life. He became a monster who the entire world was scared of, but deep down, Subaru was the one who was actually scared. He'd have panic attacks and would often...
You know what? I did forget about that. That a couple of times that Rem and Ram killed him back then. Right, I remember. I forgot about that.
And self-harm to calm himself down. Subaru's trust issues eventually led to his vision being limited to black and white. The few people he trusted would retain their color, but eventually Ram was the only one left. All she had was hatred for Subaru, but in the end, that very hatred was the only thing Subaru could trust. And remember, this was all the result of Subaru not wanting to jump off the cliff and simply restart the loop. Patience is a virtue, and if Subaru had understood that, then he would have been able to save Ram and Rem, and more importantly, himself. Anyway, there's a lot of information we got from this story, so I'm gonna start with Cecilus and Hannibal. two of the strongest characters in ReZero who hopefully will one day appear in the
Oh,
main
I
story.
hope so.
Hannibal isn't as strong as Cecilus, but that's because he's a ninja character. Anywhere you see a shadow, Hannibal could be hiding in it and no one would know. He's an
Damn.
excellent assassin, but if you put him out in an open field, he's not going to be as effective as Cecilus would. So how exactly did Subaru manage to recruit two of the
That's what I'm
strongest characters
saying.
in
How?
ReZero? Well, at least for Hannibal, it was because of Return by Death. Remember that from an outsider's perspective, Subaru would appear to be either extremely lucky or some kind of genius. Hannibal picked up on this and started noticing Subaru's odd predictions. He appeared to have some sort of gift. Whether it was an actual ability or just incredible insight didn't really matter. The point was, Hannibal learned to trust and value Subaru's judgment.
That makes sense.
Now, Cecilus, on the other hand, would
Okay.
consider using Return by Death a cowardly tactic, as he believes that preparation is for the weak. Cecilus had actually been loyal to the Empire the entire time. The Emperor himself, his name's Vincent, he's actually the one that told Cecilus to go work for Subaru.
Oh.
By the way, to put Cecilus's power into perspective, the author actually confirmed that if Reinhardt were to have a fight with the sun, Reinhardt would win. He would win a fight with the sun. And yet, Cecilus was able to inflict pretty significant damage to him. He was able to damage Reinhardt, he was worthy of the Dragon Sword Reed, and he was able to kill Roswaal almost instantly. I think that alone speaks for how strong Cecilus really is. But in the end, Reinhardt still defeated him, and then got stabbed by Amelia. Now that was weird. Yes, Amelia stabbed Reinhardt.
That's
because
crazy.
Amelia wasn't consciously aware of her actions, Reinhardt's divine protections couldn't stop her attack. This was the first time we've ever heard of a potential weakness that Reinhardt might have.
Yeah.
And just for anyone that was wondering, it was never stated whether or not Amelia and Puck were worthy of the Dragon Sword. It was Cecilus that was worthy, and Reinhardt just never put it back away after he drew it. So that's why he was able to use it against Puck and Amelia, which, by the way, the conclusion of that fight isn't known either. All we know is that Amelia survived. I'm assuming that Amelia let Puck face Reinhardt alone while she went to look for Subaru, but who knows, maybe they killed him. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think.
I do think that actually I don't know, because I was gonna say, I do think that Reinhardt probably killed Puck, because in one of the other what ifs that's what happened. But and actually in season 2, in one of in like a flashback or something, we see it happen, Reinhardt killing Puck. But since Reinhardt's weakened significantly, I don't know. Puck probably was able to take him out.
Personal guess is that Reinhardt won, but that's just me. Another thing, Amelia was referred to as the Witch of Glaciation, and I do think that title is very badass, but I don't think it really means anything.
Okay.
It probably wasn't referring to Amelia as one of the literal witches of sin, because obviously ice isn't a sin, so let's not get too excited about that.
I think
the last
it
part
was just
I want
like
to talk about is the ending. We kind of got left with a cliffhanger, but I think it's obvious that Rom ends up killing Subaru. Now what happens after that, we can only speculate. Does Subaru die a permanent death, or does he use Return by Death? And if so, where does he return to? My guess is that he does die a permanent death, but I would like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I do read all of them, by the way. I really enjoyed
That's
this
a good
If story.
question.
It's been so long since I read Oboreru the first time, I think I forgot how good it actually was.
Yeah, this
The
one's
new
really good.
characters were
Holy
amazing.
shit.
We got some nice world building and a bunch of
Yeah, I'll
interesting
be honest,
information.
I like
The
this one
story
better
itself
than I
was
like
very
Pride.
well written, especially in terms of thematic significance, and once again guys, the only way to get the full experience would be to read the story yourself. A lot of details were left out from this video, and if I had narrated the actual story word for word, this video would have been several hours long. At the moment, I'd say this is probably my second or third favorite If story, and I honestly can't decide which one I should cover next, so if you guys want to help me out with that, then you can leave me a comment below. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Make sure you give it a like if you did, but most importantly, keep talking about ReZero. Don't let the hype die down. I'm out, guys. Peace out.
Wow. So that's interesting. So I do wonder about that then. Like, what? So Rom killed him because, like, I don't think he died a permanent death. Because So what I want to know is what was Subaru's goal here in this arc right here? Like, what did he want? What was he trying to do? Like in Pride, what he wanted to make Amelia number one, right? And he wanted to be the ultimate villain for her, have her kill him, and that happened. That's why when she died, he didn't come back. So what was his goal here? Like all along, did he want to maybe be killed by somebody that he didn't see as a lie? In which case that would be Ram, and maybe he just wanted to be judged, for all the terrible things that he did. That's why maybe he got so pissed off when Amelia was like, "Oh, I forgive you," and he saw that as a lie and was like, "Nah, you're lying." And then, freaked out because, he thought that Mill was the one person that would never lie. And so he goes to Ram, and Ram's saying, "I hate you," and he's like, "Okay, now that's the truth." Which in reality, it seems like he just hated himself, really. He, I think maybe he just wanted to be judged. And he finally got somebody to actually judge him. But I think he wanted somebody that he saw as not a lie to judge him, right? At least that's my opinion. What do you guys think? Let me know your opinions on that whole thing with Subaru. Guys, this was so good. This so far, out of all of them that I've seen so far, like out of Lust, obviously, out of Sloth, and out of Pride, and out of this one so far, this one has been my favorite so far. This one was really dope. I like seeing him as the Purge King. That was so good. And then just also seeing seeing him like seeing that he was so unhinged, that he'll literally flip a coin to determine whether someone's gonna live or die, and just off fleek, not even didn't even really have to say anything. Like he was saying, like that one dude, the old dude, he was super polite, didn't say anything to piss Super off, and when the guy was walking out there, Super said, "Oh, 1 second, bro, tails, just take him out." I'm like, he did nothing wrong. That's crazy. I wonder if he's ever done this because I know it couldn't have said that he's um threatened both Haribo's and Cecil's life multiple times. So I wonder if he's ever done the coin flip thing with them and was like, because I mean I can't imagine him gambling like that with their lives. I mean they're too valuable to him. I mean come on now. This was great, guys. I guess the next one I might do because I think trying to see. I did Slot, Lust, Pride, and this one. So the three more left is this Gluttony, which you guys told me to stay away from. You guys told me that Gluttony has major Arc 3 spoilers. So probably staying away from that one. Greed, you guys told me there are minor spoilers, but they really shouldn't matter. And I'm trying to see. I don't think I did Envy. Is there an Envy? I don't think I see an Envy on his list. I didn't do Gluttony, but you guys told me that's fine because it's spoiler, and Greed. So I guess Greed's going to be the next one I go into, and you guys did tell me that is supposedly his best one, because apparently I heard in some of your comments that he actually got the VAs, the original VAs of the actual characters to come and do the to help with the what ifs. That's crazy. I can't wait for that one, guys. All right, guys, but that's gonna end this video here. Again, let me know what your thoughts on what you want me to do with Pride. If you want me to just like edit around my faux pas and just put it up, and you could just so I mean, again, really and truly, the main thing about the reaction is you're just only gonna be able to listen to it. You won't really be able to see my reaction, so I do apologize for that, guys. Like I said, like it's pretty much unsalvageable. There's only literally one small part of the reaction where you're actually able to see me. So I guess just let me know your thoughts on it. Alright guys, yeah, that's gonna end the video. If I like what you saw, please give me a thumbs up. It helps me a tremendous amount. If you have not already, why not subscribe? I post Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. If you guys have any comments about this video, about Echidnut or anything in general, about ReZero that's non-spoilery, post them below. I love hearing you guys' comments. Also, if you have any suggestions on what you'd like to react to next, We'll close this wall, and if something haven't seen, I will take a look at it. Till next video, guys, I'm seeing nothing but mad love. Stay awesome. Deuces.
Oh,